The War on Terror, UFC, and the Poke Wars on Facebook. It must be the macho mid-2000s. A DEA agent provides former Marine Tim Kearney with a way out of his prison sentence. Impersonate Bobby Z, a recently deceased drug dealer, in a hostage switch with a crime lord. When the negotiations go awry, Kearney flees with Z's son in tow. Bobby Z is the halfway point within Paul Walker's short filmography. Whilst never a great actor, Walker had looks and charisma to be a star, and if not for his tragic death, he would be one of Hollywood's biggest action stars by now. He proved he could carry a film by himself, such as he did in the hyper-style headache known as Running Scared. However, Bobby Z is definitely one of his weaker films, and through whatever misfortune, such as the lack of money or commitment, comes off as just a direct-to-video affair with a big-ass studio budget of $22 million. Wow. God knows what happened, but someone buried this film, and whilst mediocre, I sure as hell have seen worse action films at the cinema. Bobby Z makes more sense now since I found out it was an adaptation of a crime novel. Here was me thinking, why are there so many secondary and tertiary characters fleshed out for no fucking point whatsoever, and now it all makes sense now. Poor adaptation of a book that probably wasn't all that good to begin with. The plot simply does not translate well into the smoking aces-like action film they are trying to make here. It's that awkward combination of character and plot that works perfectly fine on paper, but if not given the right treatment, will come off on screen as overwrought. It doesn't help that the characters are all types that we have seen 1,000 times before and are not worth talking about. This is just another laissez-faire depiction of the disastrous war on drugs that has taken thousands of lives already, and it all was very coy and gay, and I didn't care for it. Bobby Z is a below average crime action thriller that does not deliver in either spectacle or drama, and whose only two highlights probably took up half the budget. Navy SEALs, headed by Lieutenant Baba James, are dispatched to North Korea on a covert mission, all in an effort to take out a missile site, but the mission is abruptly aborted, stranding 4 soldiers in enemy territory. Now, in order to survive, they must defeat the rebel forces that threaten their lives, their allies, and the entire free world. Behind Enemy Lines 2 comes right at us from 2006, dead center within the decade in which, for the first time since the Cold War ended, America no longer was the sole dominant superpower. And boy does this film become even more hilarious with that fact. No doubt this film towed the line, and then some, with the US military's notoriously strict protocol regarding film productions playing with their toys, and might have gotten some levies out of it as well, due to how much an imperialist propaganda piece this chintzy bollocks really is. It does not help that the cardboard acting and some truly meme-worthy post-production choices all culminate in an overall atmosphere that is seagull as fuck. Behind Enemy Lines 2 feels like an incredibly rushed production and a severe decompression of what might have started out as an intriguing political thriller, ended up, as I said, po-faced imperialist propaganda that has no semblance of self-awareness. Some elements remain, such as the perfectly sympathetic portrayals of the South Korean government and even some North Korean officials. However, the whole thing is Rambo levels of jingoism and makes North Korea the new Russians, regardless. First blood for the War on Terror. Tasteless trash without even 80s nostalgia going for it. Behind Enemy Lines 2 has an insane amount of shaky cam as well, like the cinematographer had rickets or something. The worst example of the worst aesthetic trope of 2000s action cinema that I have seen. Lastly, what I'll say about this film is that it is exactly the kind of film Starship Troopers was parodying 10 years earlier. It is truly unconflicted war on terror propaganda that is fit only for boot camp libraries, and those like myself who find the decline of America's geopolitical dominance the funniest shit going. Based on the 1980s TV action drama, this update focuses on Vice detectives Crockett and Tubbs as their respective personal and professional lives become dangerously intertwined. Michael Mann updated the TV show that saw him through most of the 80s with disappointing results. Though the film has many positives, such as being one of the first major studio films to use digital video and Mann's trademark attention to detail, the overall film feels very messy, and that's probably down to the constant script rewrites done by Mann himself. Michael Mann films since the very beginning have been densely plotted, and if this hot take by the crew members is to be believed, then Mann seemingly was trying to combat a big budget production with TV serial methods, and what that gave us was undefined characters and a serious case of information overload. Other factors might have been at play. Jamie Foxx apparently caused some issues, and also shooting a film underneath 3 fucking hurricanes comes with its own problems. But, even without all these issues, I would feel that Miami Vice 06 would still struggle for consistency, as even the best televisual adaptations have problems with condensing the source material. This reboot would have definitely worked better staying as a TV show. As for where it stands in Michael Mann's filmography, I feel that Miami Vice 06 is the nadir of his artistic artlessness and had not stood the test of time. 14 years ago, this might have had an interesting look, but certain scenes look like they came out of a YouTube premium film, and what's worse, you can say that for even some of the acting. All in all, I saw Miami Vice 06 as just one huge motion blur of varying resolutions. It is definitely one of Michael Mann's lesser films, and is an experience so cluttered with visual noise it becomes overwhelming in the worst way. Right. Conclusion time. The Death and Life of Bobby Z is a crap crime thriller that has underwhelming spectacle and torrid melodrama. Behind Enemy Lines 2 is laughable war on terror propaganda with terrible acting and dialogue. And Miami Vice 06 is an unfocused mess that simply does your head in. Goodbye.